Hey guys, welcome back. I am going to be doing part 2 of this Yard King Snowblower, and I think what we are going to do today is we are going to take a look underneath at the transmission, lube that all up, and make sure there are no major problems there. My normal camera, that is a GoPro that I normally use for filming these, is on its way to South Africa right now to go on safari, so I will not have that for a couple weeks. So in the meantime, I'm going to try filming with my cell phone camera. It's 4K, but I generally don't like to do it because it's one, a lot more delicate than the GoPro, and the battery life is very terrible when filming. And also there's no good way to mount it, so you are going to be on a tripod mounted with a selfie stick mounted on it and clamped in that. We will see how that goes. The good news is that you will be in 4K. And I figured that Wednesday, in 2 days, it's going to snow, and I can test this thing out as long as the transmission and everything is up and running, because the engine is up and running. And I think it would be a good idea to, at least test it out before I go and remove the bucket and attempt to, remediate some of this rust and paint it and all of that. Okay, why don't we take off the belt cover first and see what the belts look like. Not terrible. Pretty good. Honestly, I was expecting a lot worse. The belts are not bad at all. There's a spring down there and some other stuff. I'm going to try and get down there with the spray lithium grease and lubricate that. I want to keep this stuff off of the belts and pulleys and pulleys and stuff like that. I'm going to try and get it where I want it. And know where I don't want it. I know that's hard. Actually, I'm switching to this chain lube. That's not bad. Alright, let's flip it up on its bucket. I drained the carburetor and turned the gas off, so I really shouldn't have any gas leaks, and it is out of oil. Or I drained the oil. This is a heavy one. Definitely the heaviest snowblower I've had to deal with so far. Let's get this cover off. It's actually in quite good condition. I wonder if this snowblower really has not been used much. It had engine problems and just sat in a shed or a garage or something for a very long time. This thing has definitely been maintenanced. It's got a lot of grease on all of this stuff. The chain is definitely greased. It's not rusted at all. I'm very pleased about that. However, the chain is looking pretty gooey. It's got a lot of dirt and stuff on it, so I think I may just go ahead and wipe that off and put some new chain lube on it. I'm just going to use some carb cleaner. Soak this paper towel in carb cleaner and kind of see if I can wipe some of this off. Not that I think it's going to cause much of a problem, but it is kind of nasty. I got some of the crud off. It's actually very well greased. I think this thing was just serviced quite recently, actually, so I really don't have to do all that much to it. I'm just going to put a little bit of chain lube on this, nothing too much. um, something a little bit lighter to help. The grease is a little bit thick, not too bad, but alright, time to clean off the friction disc. For that, I'm going to be using this CRC brake clean, same stuff I use for clutch discs on cars and disc brakes. So I'm going to make sure that this is perfectly clean, no grease on it whatsoever, because if there is, it is going to slip. Feels very nice too. Pretty happy with that. Somebody actually took decent care of this thing. And I don't know if you can see it in there, but this disc doesn't have much wear on it at all. I don't think the snowblower was really used all that much, honestly. So I am also looking down here. You know, this is where it's rusted the most inside the bucket, but this metal is still very solid, and you can see these drain holes. They don't have much rust on it either. So it's primarily, I think, surface rust on the inside. I think it'll be just fine. All it needs is a little bit of wire wheeling and maybe a little bit of sanding with a flapper disc and some paint, and it'll be good as new. While I'm in here, why not just add a little bit of chain lube to the bushings? Not too much. Again, you don't want to overdo it because you don't want this stuff flinging around in there and getting on the friction disc and fouling that all up. Those are already pretty well greased in there. There is a lot of grease in there. Good. The point of what I'm doing now is not to fully finish this thing, but just get it to a point where it will run, so that in 2 days, when we get this supposed snow, we will be able to test this thing. Alright, why don't we put this newly painted carburetor cover back on. I have to say, overall, it looks pretty good. Especially now that we cleaned up the engine covers and all of that. I'd say it looks really good. Oh, this looks good up here. The back. Everything. Looks really nice. Pretty good for a 23-year-old snowblower, wouldn't you say? Time to add oil. I am going to add Mobil 1, full synthetic, 5W30. High mileage. Alright, this will have to do. I really can't get the camera very low because of the janky setup you saw at the beginning, but this is another one where the scraper is basically on the ground. So I will take my 5/16 inch tile and put it under there, and then I am going to get a ratchet and loosen those skids. Looks like 1/2 inch to me. What do you think? Yep. And I want the skid to be slightly elevated in the front. Kind of like that. Good. Alright, I'm going to go do the other side and then we'll do the cold start. All done, and this thing ends up being about a 1/4 inch, maybe like 5/16, somewhere between 1/4 and 5/16 off the ground, which is perfect. Even the auger, even the gearbox looks in very nice condition. It's just the bucket, and it's just surface rust too. So we should deal with that before it gets worse. Alright, cold start. And let me show you why it didn't run. I dropped the carb bowl and the jet. This is the old jet I'm just using as a demonstration. And when I looked inside, I saw this thing. This carb float needle seat had actually worked its way in there like that. So obviously when somebody tried to go and clean the carburetor previous to me, they lost that up in the emulsion tube area and it was kind of stuck up there. And then after it ran the first time, it fell down and fell into the jet. And then it subsequently clogged the jet so that the engine could no longer get fuel. Can you believe that? Things you find. Alright, one more try. Alright, I gotta readjust the carburetor. And I have to say, that surpassed my expectations. It performed very well. If you like these videos, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you on the next one. That is not snow on the road, that is salt. If you ever wondered why everything in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast rusts, this is why. There is a nice 1/4 inch of salt evenly spread across every road